Hello and welcome back to Outside the Box, an MLS podcast. My name is Juanners.
This is Daniel.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Joss.
And welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I am so thrilled to be talking about this past weekend's games because there was quite a lot of fun ones. We're officially in, as I named the Burgundy Banter episode, we are in table watching season. So we're going to go straight to my boy, Joss, because looking in, we're starting off the show with Kansas City. This may or may not be the last time we have Kansas City on, so it really is up to Joss here to kind of either give us a very good eulogy or a very good sell. Right now, Kansas City are 8 points out of a playoff spot, 5 points behind Houston and Dallas, 7 points behind Salt Lake, and then 8 points behind San Jose. A game in hand on San Jose, but pretty much even with the rest of them. Joss, tell us about Kansas City, man. Where are we with this team?
Kansas City, what's not to love about this city? They're hosting the Fan Fest for the Premier League. That's what we're talking about, right? That's the big news involving soccer in Kansas City this weekend. Or are we talking about potentially the 0-0 draw that the KC Current had? That's what we're talking about, right? The good soccer. Not this. Not what I've been forced to watch the past few weeks. When you expect your guys to know that the season's on the line, the season's been on the line since about March for us. But when you expect the guys to go in with some sort of intensity, some sort of fire, and bring it and show that, hey, we want this team to succeed. I didn't see it on Saturday. I didn't see it. I saw disjointedness. I saw Jake Davis play as a 10 for some reason. I saw Mason Toye start a game in 2025.
Hey.
But I didn't see the fire. Mason Toye, to his credit, played pretty well. And I mean, I did see the fire. I also had to watch them this weekend. That was a good game. But I didn't see fire in terms of SKC looking like they want to get in the playoffs. So for this 2025 season, I am pronouncing it dead. Time of death.
Oh, no.
Time of death is about midnight Eastern because that's when this game ended. For some, there was a long delay. So it might even be like 1 a.m. Eastern. I thought maybe for a second when we got on level terms, Dejan Jovic scoring again, stealing a goal from Mason Toye, it must be said. But when we got on level terms, I thought, okay, maybe there's something. But then from there, Orlando showed why they are near the top of the East. Oscar Pareja is a great coach who's built a great team. And really, SKC do not have the talent to match up with a Martin Ojeda or a Marco Pasalic? Which Pasalic is it? It's Marco, isn't it?
Marco.
Yeah,
it is Marco.
Polo.
A Marco Pasalic. Nice. Or even, being able to sub off Louise Murray. Tyrese Spicer, who they acquired in a trade with Toronto. Meanwhile, we get some center back from Nakacha, who doesn't even come in and play. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't feel any excitement. I feel like with Kerry Zavagnan's time at SKC, I don't think he gets the job. I don't think he's done anything to really get the job. But I'm still going to give him a C-. He based on where the team was to where he got it to, C-. Okay. But for next season, I hope he's not the head coach. I don't think he's the guy to do it. So yeah, time of death, about we'll say midnight. We'll say 1 a.m. Eastern.
Match day
on Sunday morning, match day 29. Sporting KC season is done now. It's silly season now. Let's see how many different formations we can put up. Let's see how many different insane records we can break with this team, because making the playoffs, it's just out of the question.
Does anyone want to add to the SKC misery or any other things they saw in the match they want to see from SKC? I'm ready for us to be in a situation where they win next week and we're back to talking about them next week. But I guess any final KC thoughts as they figure it out, I guess, without Carey. I mean, do we know if they're getting a coach? Like, is that we know any rumblings?
Nothing. I haven't heard nothing.
Oh, what about the rest of the fellas?
I have one quick thing I'd like to say about Sporting Kansas City over the past couple of weeks. I would like to actually congratulate Kerry Zavagnin for doing something I never thought I'd ever see Sporting Kansas City do. Start more than one striker. You know? That's pretty cool.
That's true. That's true.
That is, yeah. So I think it was last week they started 2. In this game, they started 3. I am blown away by that. Putting 3 strikers on the pitch, if you want to score goals, you might as well get 3 goal scorers on there. So, Kerry Zavagnin, you have my respect for that.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel?
I think I'm going to say about Sporting Kansas City that I do about every mediocre to slightly below mediocre team that I ever see. They're setting it up for next year. They're going to be great next year.
Yeah.
Sporting Kansas City has all the pieces of the puzzle to be great next year. Don't worry, Joss. You got it.
Do they, though? They
I
need
don't-
a
I don't
coach
think
first.
so.
They're in a rebuild.
They need
they're in a
coach
rebuild.
first.
We're
Just a
about to
rebuild.
hit the 3rd window of our 3-window rebuild. A rebuild that's included buying Joaquin Fernandez. That started with buying Joaquin Fernandez.
Last year.
And I guess we're about to end the 3rd window of a 3-window rebuild, which is great because we started with Joaquin Fernandez and are finishing with Alan Montez. So
Answer me this.
and we are
Would
no
you
closer to the playoffs.
answer me this? Would you buy a house with only 3 windows?
We're talking about, so we're not doing your job right now. That's a banger though.
Dude, I don't know why Daniel is trying to sell Joss on SKC next year. That's
I know. I
crazy.
thought.
And
That's a
by
banger.
by the time they're still rebuilding next year, we're having the same conversation this season next year. And you're gonna be like, Daniel, they're going through their 5th window. And be like, Josh, would you buy a house with 5 windows? We should keep going until they have the normal amount, like 14 windows. They'll win that one championship and have to restart.
I feel like you're a Texas city council member in like Houston planning their roads. Just one more window, man. Just one more window.
lane. Just one more
I'm
lane.
Sisyphus
Trust me.
pushing up my boulder. I'm pushing the boulder up the hill, and at the top of the hill, it's Peter Vermes chuckling to himself as he shoves me back down the hill and then rolls the boulder after me.
What is at the end of
We're
all
holding
this?
an iPad in one hand.
What
Yes.
if at the end of all this, they do like the U.S. men's national team and just rehire Vermes again?
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked.
Oh man, it's funny.
Joss, I'm glad you brought up Houston because that is actually who we have next on the docket to talk about. Fellas, a couple weeks ago, I was very high on Houston, and ever since then, it's just been like watching paint dry, bro. Houston they managed to go to Vancouver and come out with a late draw. I tweeted out they managed to storm the Mueller minutes pretty well because we'll get to Mueller when we talk about Vancouver, but Houston did well to stay in this game, and they clawed away for a point, but I just don't think they have the juice to get all 3. And any game without Lawrence Anali starting is one that you should pretty much steer clear from. But fellas, what are we thinking about Houston? They are, of the 3 teams below the line, they're currently 12th, so they're still very much in the hunt for it, but I'm like a lot more down on them and a lot more thinking I think we might see the end of Benny Ball sometime soon. But fellas, what are we thinking about Houston?
I don't know. I don't know what Olsen's love affair with Sebastian Kowalczyk is.
I know. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know why that's a thing. And it's kind of a shame because on paper this back line does not look terrible. Like
I mean,
Andrade,
Ortiz
Yeah,
stuffed the
Andrade,
fuck out of Mueller at
Ortiz.
the end.
Yeah, and getting Antonio Carlos, which is objectively a pretty good signing in this league. Griffin Dorsey, who, whatever, having a down year. Yes, mostly because he isn't being as influential in the attack, but he's still like, on his day, he can be one of the better right backs in the league. And then you also have like Ethan Bartlow, who has been kind of solid this year for them. It's weird. And then you have Awodesu, who's still behind him. Like, this defense should be better, but they went out and they completely wrecked their season when they decided to bring Jonathan Bond back. And I want to keep harping on this point because I believe that Blake Gillingham should have been the number one all season. And I don't know why. And I feel like every single time I talk about Houston, I'm talking about this because it's a move that still makes absolutely zero sense to me. He's the worst goalkeeper in the league, Jonathan Bond is. And this defense should simply be so much better than they are. And that's how they were going to get into the playoffs, between that and then just allowing on McGlynn and Inali to do the things that make them special. Because I think those are the only two match winners that are on this team. At least in the attack. I haven't seen enough from Linger yet, but I'm expecting more from him next year. Ponce, fine. Let's end that experiment. I think Houston's got to be thinking about that. But on paper, this team should be so much better than they are. But they're being held back by bad goalkeeping and just poor lineup selections in the attack.
Yes, and I wanted to add on to the poor lineup selections. I can't believe they're not putting Inali like from the start. Was he hurt? Does anybody know?
No, he was not hurt.
How do you not start him?
I mean, and maybe it helps to have him late in the match, right? If they're chasing the game, but I don't see how you don't have Inali out there. And we'll talk about Vancouver because they got an early penalty, so they allowed a lot of possession. But imagine if you had at that point Inali to fight back instead of having to have him come on late in the half, But him and Kowalczyk, like I hate seeing Kowalczyk out there, dude. I hate it.
Yeah,
he is not at this level, I don't think, and even to some extent Ponce, man. Like I see Ponce in at the 9 instead of Linger, and I'm like, I feel like this team would just crush with Linger at the 9, and or even as like a false 10, having Inali and McGlynn to like make those runs in behind. Because right now Houston, they're the same thing. They have nobody that can move the ball for them, and less so with Jack McGlynn in the middle. We've seen him in the middle try and play out. He's much better as a winger, or at least that right-sided 8. But
the Karaskia role.
This is kind of like a embrace debate question for you guys, but we've seen Ben Olsen be successful in this league. When we're talking about Houston, we talk about, hey, we're tired of this project. This player can't cut it. Maybe not the right selection. Is this a Ben Olsen problem, or is it more of a, hey, he wasn't really set up to succeed this year?
Well,
are we firing everybody? Are we firing Ben Olsen? Are we firing everybody? Are we firing in the front office? Like, what are we doing here? If we're Houston,
I think Olsen's got his guys in. I mean, getting Jack McGlynn, like getting Linger, like these are two massive additions that we were. Ben Olsen was he had to have been a big proponent of signing these guys. But like harping back to what Jeremy was saying, getting Jonathan Bond in is also probably a Ben Olsen decision, right? So for me, this feels like a pretty Olsen-like team. And looking at it on paper, you've got an underperforming 9. You've got a link. You gotta let him linger. Gotta let him linger over there. But you got Linger, who's 18 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. Again, it's his first season. He joined on and he wasn't on the team at the very start of the season, so there's some slack to give him there, but it's still not exactly impressive numbers. Like Jack McGlynn and Brooklyn Reigns, and I mean Kowalczyk, this love affair. I think this is an Olsen problem. I think it's an Olsen problem because it's an Olsen team.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add is Brendan Burke was also very, very hands-on as an assistant when he was with Houston. And Brendan Burke left to Hartford, their head coach there. But there's probably a noticeable downturn in the attack once Burke left. And I think a lot of the I'll say this: Houston is probably at their worst right now. Houston at their worst is still nowhere near Benny Ball at DC United at its worst, I think. If we're old enough to remember Benny Ball at DC, I think that was some of the worst soccer. I don't think Houston's there quite yet. And that's kind of a testament to just kind of their organization. I think no matter what, they have quality. It's just got to be utilized a bit better. And so maybe Olsen needs just some new inspiration, or just, because it still in the fight. You know what I mean? Like they are a game in hand on San Jose and Colorado. I think in Houston do face San Jose this weekend. So like one result is all they need to really change this around, right? But it doesn't start with Sebastian in at any position really. Let's talk about Dallas though, because they are also Texas team fighting for some playoff spots. They are level with Houston, 29 points. They are ahead on goal differential or goals differential. So they're ahead on the GD there. Dallas. Where did Dallas play this week?
At Austin.
At Austin. And
The Coward Bowl.
How are we feeling about that one? Because this one is, I remember this one, fellas. Honestly, at a loss for how this match.
Dallas scored
1-1.
first, and then Austin
1-1.
scored second.
Man, I was here.
what a recap.
I was trying to remember what my thoughts were on Austin as it was happening. This lineup that they have, this 4-4-2 with Rubio, I'm all for it. It's just can't help but feel they're even if they had Vasquez, they're still missing one more dynamic guy, and I don't know if Wolf. I know he scored in this one, but I just can't help but feel Wolf needs to be on a different team. But Dallas came out in a 4-2-3-1 or 3-4-3. I'm really struggling to understand Dallas this season because they got rid of Acosta, and now it seems like the players are kind of feeling a lot lighter out there. But Logan Farrington in at the left wing. How are you guys feeling about Dallas this season? What are we looking to see from them?
I'd like to congratulate Eric Quill for continuing to play a back three without a recognized left wing back. Even though I think there is.
Right?
Yeah, he's not a wing back. You want him farther up the pitch. But I would like to see Nolan Norris in that role, who is an instant all MLS name team, because that is absolutely a guy who has played youth soccer in America, Nolan Norris. I don't know. I would like to give some props to Michael Collodi, who's their backup, who's actually been pretty good in a couple of spot starts that he's had this year. He's started 4 games. He's kept clean sheets in 2 of them, and he's actually done a pretty good job. And it's hard to replace Martin Pass, so I'm pretty happy with that. Good for him. And he wears a funny little headband, and that's fun. I'd also like to talk about their big summer signing, a winger by the name of Don Deedson Lucius, who is also
Lucius Don Deedson.
Lucius. Yes. He is, first of all, what a name. What a fucking name. God, go off. I wonder how long it's going to take for him to get into the starting lineup, but with the way that Farrington has been playing, not so much attacking wise, but just being a two-way winger, that's been really good. So, I mean, at some point, maybe he becomes the left wing back, Eric, figure it out. But also, I've been saying Eric, figure it out for all year, which is nuts because he still hasn't been able to do it. And here we are It is mid-August. Dallas, who have had a couple of like roster turnovers, like obviously the Acosta thing was a big one, but they gotta figure out how they want to play. They really do. And right now, it seems like they've settled on trading possession for space to counterattack into, which could work for Peter Musa. You know, he could work anywhere. He's very good. He's a very, very good player. He's kind of just like the big shining light in the middle of whatever the hell this Dallas team is. So,
You know what's
yeah,
crazy about that? A lot of people did
Yeah.
not think Musa would succeed in MLS.
No, he was going to be obviously good.
Yeah, but I mean, I think even just with how he played on, where did he come from? Was it Boa Vista that he was on?
Benfica.
Benfica. There was some issues that this counterattack style wouldn't work for a guy like him, and it has. It kind of just goes to show that, like, is this more so just Musa's quality? Like, are we ready to say Musa's better than Acosta? Because Acosta just could not figure it out on this team. And Musa feels like that guy, that franchise player that you can build around no matter what style you play.
Would I sound crazy if I said I think Musa was always better than Acosta?
No, I don't think so. Because, I mean, it was up to, because at the beginning of the season, we were very high on that connection, right? And it just didn't work out for whatever reason. But Musa still scored when Acosta was out. So, I mean, I don't think it's far-fetched at all to say even before, you know?
Would it be crazy if I remind everyone that I said he was the third best striker in the league, or he was top 3?
That's not crazy.
Not crazy at all?
They called me a fool. They called me a fool at the time.
I believe you also said they called Jesus crazy at the same time. If I remember that conversation correctly.
Well, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the episodes of Outside the Box. Peter Musa.
I still have Kuipers over Musa, though.
And you can have that opinion. But this guy's delivering without a Zinkernagel, without a Bamba,
Okay.
without a Brian Gutierrez. I know we have mixed opinions on Brian Gutierrez, but I had to throw in a third there. Much like a failing relationship, had to throw in a third.
Oh my God, you're on one today.
But yes, Peter Musa. Yes, he. I'm a big fan of his, as we all know, and I think he is the kind of guy that you need to build around. And I like his all around play a lot. I think that's improved so much, and it's crazy because, like we were talking about the Acosta connection, we were expecting the Acosta connection to mean that he doesn't need to improve his all around play, and it's gone up another level, I think, and now he's becoming more of an assist guy as well. So he's the kind of guy that Dallas should look to keep for sure.
I think Dallas has 3 players they can absolutely build around. You have Musa, you have Urohide, and you have Kaik. And I think a lot of their off-season work this winter needs to go around finding another chance creator, and I like Ramiro too, but I feel like you have to get a little bit younger at that holding midfield role. So finding another holding midfielder that can partner Kaik for the long term, and then actually finding a dynamite partner for Urohide at the back. Then you have a...
Sorry.
Go for it.
I have not a younger player, but I think it would work perfectly. Kellen Acosta returns to Dallas, where it all started. Acosta Kaik in midfield. No? Yes? No?
Yeah, he's been under exile. Bring him home.
Bring him home.
That'd be sick.
That's what I'm saying. But no, I agree. Who else could you build around? I want to see more of Pedrinho. I feel like he started a little bit, and then they just said, all right, we're not going with Pedrinho. And that's made me sad. But beyond that, any other Dallas talking points from the fellas? Let's talk.
Not really, no. Sorry.
There you go. Let's talk Real Salt Lake. Traveled to Charlotte. Lost 1-0, and they are at the hands of another refereeing controversy last week. It was the Diego Luna red card on who was in Red Bulls against who was the left back? Was that
That was Kyle Duncan.
Al Duncan? Like, for some reason I thought it was Raheem Edwards, but you had that last week for them, and then this week a handball in the box, which I thought was a handball, not called. And it just seems like their Eastern Conference luck is not there for Salt Lake. Beyond that, Victor Olatunji made his debut and probably should have gotten a PK shout just to get going, but I am a big fan of Olatunji. He comes from Sparta Prague, so has some good kind of experience there at those like Europa League levels, like Conference League levels. You always know, like I'm a sucker for one of those players from those clubs because they tend to be. I mean, Anders Dreyer, right, was on Anderlecht, and so it's those kinds of players that sometimes they pop off in MLS and other times they don't. So for Olatunji, I'm excited for that. Rowan Cruz, I don't know where he's from in Brazil, but he had another chance out here. Overall, Salt Lake, I think, have a better window than most teams, especially that Olatunji deal. But how are you feeling about RSL, even with like these like, blown calls against them?
Look, as a Charlotte fan, his hand was in a natural position. But as a Major League Soccer fan, why does it always feel like it's the same like 3 refs this controversy always surrounds? I was not on last week's podcast. I did listen to last week's podcast, so I can't say don't dox refs. That's bad behavior. I have to bring this up again because I'm about to talk kind of some shit because it always seems to revolve around the same 3 pro refs, and these were points that Real Salt Lake really needed. I mean, if we want to talk about like actual play, I mean, watching this game, I feel like players that used to kind of be not dominant, but like really, really solid in this league, like Brian Vera, like he seems like the kind of guy who's missing a step. So Toklamati's not a huge guy. He's not like a freak athlete. He should not be out jumping you for that header, right? But at the same time, they did kind of get screwed out of not 3 points because we don't know how the game completely flips with that early of a penalty. But I mean, they got screwed out at least the opportunity to get a point away that they needed so bad to stay in this playoff position. I can't say definitively that they are a better team than the 2 teams ahead of them, right? But they're sitting in a spot to be able to get that wild card spot after a year where we counted them out week after week after week. And just to have that happening, I mean, it's just going to be so deflating if you're an RSL fan.
Well, I mean, they did go on that run without Luna, right? And it was like, well, because RSL were on a downturn, and then we thought, hey, without Luna, it's going to be a lot worse. And then they managed without him. He's kind of back, not in this match, but, he's generally just back. I think they got to figure out if they want to go 4-2-3-1 or that 4-2-2. And more, it feels like Coach of the Year should go to BJ Callahan for starting that revolution. But of these 3 teams, fellas, of RSL, Dallas, Houston, I'm gonna, because as we know, things in MLS can change. Next week we could be talking about them, being in. The highest they could all get is 9th. So, either one of these 3 teams can be in the mix here. But of these 3, I want you guys to buy low and sell high on like kind of time to pick your horse here in this race. Who's going to be relevant towards the end of the season? I'm gonna start with Jeremy. Who are you really thinking is going to be in the mix for it? They might all be, but who do you see?
This is between RSL, Dallas, and Houston.
Yes.
I'm selling Houston. I'm buying RSL.
Okay.
Because I'm looking. Wait, really quickly. I'm looking at RSL's schedule. They have to play LAFC twice in the span of a week, but they have a majority of home games down the stretch, and some of those home games are against Austin, Colorado, and Minnesota SKC. I think that's a pretty good end of the schedule. And on decision day, they're going to St. Louis. I'm buying on RSL.
Joss?
Oh God, I don't want to sound. I'm copying Jeremy because it's RSL, and the reason I'm going RSL on this is I love Diego Luna. and Moon Man is the kind of guy that you're able to look to. And now he's got more help around him with Olatunji coming in. I think that RSL are going to surge up the table, and I think they'll even finish as high as somewhere like 6th.
Whoa.
Daniel, go to you.
Wow. Okay, so I am going to sell RSL and buy FC Dallas because when we are in the final stretch of this league, I want to buy the team that has the best player. I'm taking the guy who actually I'm taking the team that actually has a match winner, essentially. And I believe Peter Musa is that match winner. Because when you break it down by a game basis, it's like the old classic debates between who would you rather have for a season and who would you rather have for a game. Would you rather have Aaron Rodgers for a season or Tom Brady for a game? And if I break this out by game, I'm taking Peter Musa. The same way if I had to break it out game by game, I'm taking Tom Brady. So Peter Musa, you are my Tom Brady in 2025.
And feel like now would be the time to double down on the Houston take, right?
Yes.
Well, let's see. Houston's schedule. They got the Earthquakes, and I think this week. I mean, I didn't include the Earthquakes for a reason. We'll have their own little question for them, but that match will be very telling because after that it's St. Louis, LA Galaxy for Houston. One's away at St. Louis, one's at home again. Man, I don't even know if I could take the Houston at home against Galaxy. Then they go to the Rapids. Then they host Portland, which is historically a rough place for Portland. Texas is. And then they go to Nashville. Oh man, I can't buy on Houston, man, and I can't buy on RSL. So I guess that leaves on one team that I got to buy on. It's Dallas. I'm with you on the Musa hype train. For RSL, it's mostly just like I can't, in my blood I can't. But I just don't know what their best formation looks like. And now you add Juan in there, Olatunji in there. I mean, there's just a lot of cooks in that kitchen for me, and I think Dallas are figuring it out. But then Dallas have Lawless Abubakar in back. So that's also kind of... I'm going to buy on Houston, guys. I got to double down on Houston, I think. Just because they have some ease in their schedule here. They haven't played Galaxy yet. So maybe they'll figure something out then. And this weekend we'll say a lot, fellas. But any other thoughts on these we'll call them the chasing Western Conference teams?
No, I think I'm good.
We're gonna switch on over to the Eastern Conference. Since our boy is the Caleb Porter ride or die, I'm gonna go to Jeremy to either sell us on New England at this point, or I think give the proper eulogy. They are 11 points out of 39 points. Red Bulls in New York have, but New England Revolution. Are we canon? Are we canon this season, Jeremy? Are they done?
They're done. But it's next season that matters the most. Now,
okay.
here's what I've been thinking about all season. Leo Campana, who is now the record GAM transfer in MLS history. He stole that mantle from Paul Arriola. For some reason, Paul Arriola was the most. Had that mantle for I think a few years.
Was that the
when
DCU
he went from DC to Dallas?
The Dallas, yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're missing a striker. They've been doing some really weird roster moves. Like, I don't know how jettisoning 2 players off the supplemental roster in Maxi Arruti and Luis Diaz really helps.
I missed that. I completely missed it.
Yeah. I don't know what get them off the supplemental roster. They're taking up too much space. I don't think they were taking up enough space, if we're being honest. Particularly Maxi Arruti, who I will always love, and I'm kind of like trying to subliminally message Ned Grabavoy to like, hey, go claim him, But I believe there are diamonds on this team. Brian Ceballos and Mamadou Fofana. They're
whole back line.
fantastic.
That whole back line.
They are exactly what I said they were going to be at the start of the year. A first choice center back pairing. The problem is, despite having Carlos Hill, they do not have players to score goals. They do not. Gill has been the match winner with no one to support him. It's not Campana. It's not gonna go.
I told you it wasn't gonna go.
Yeah. Chonkalai's coming off the bench now. Why is that a thing? And I'm not too sold on Langoni in the long term either. So I think while this was arguably a very good winter transfer window for this team because Caleb Porter got his guys in. He's going to have to refigure those forward positions around Carlos Hill in this offseason if they are going to win the cup like they will next year. That decides this. And also Carlos Hill turns 33 in late November. So next year is going to be his age 33 season. That's the last. This is probably the last chance that he's going to have. You have to go right by the best player in your club history. You have to go find a big striker. You really, really, really do.
And dude, this is a back line with Matt Turner in it now. Top of Peyton Miller and Eli Feingold, younger, like better fullback combination. I think they are the best fullback combination in the league, given their age, their profile of player. They both love to go up, down, and back and forth. They just run. They got those kids can freaking run, right? This back line has only conceded 37 goals. New York has conceded the same. Columbus the same. Charlotte more. Miami more. Chicago Fire more. Montreal more. Atlanta more. DC more. So it's like they're like a middling defense. But now with Matt Turner, like I think there's a lot to like, but there's just one guy, dude. It's Caleb Porter. Like, are we sure he's the guy? Are we sure? Because there's something to be said about sticking to your guys. Like, even look at LA Galaxy, right? They stuck with their guy in Vanny. But I'm going to ask Joss and Daniel, would you go another season? Like if you had the choice, would you go another season with Caleb Porter? Knowing the 3 championship rule, the 3 championship curse, or blessing as Jeremy has called it.
The cycle.
Do you want me to go first, Joss, or do you want to go first? I have an opinion, but it's kind of dark. Okay. I'm probably not rocking with Porter again because I'm looking at the back half of this schedule, like these last couple games, and I just don't see. I mean, they're only winnable, like just off the top of the head, they only have 2 winnable games.
Well, no,
it's Toronto,
their season's
Atlanta.
done.
Their season's over. Yeah, their season's over.
I'm talking about next
And if they're
year.
only going to get, if they're going to finish the season with only 6 to 9 points, which is kind of what I see here, yeah, you got to let them go. That means all the supposedly winnable games that they had, they just didn't win at this point of the season. At this point, I mean, at that point, Matt Turner's just a Band-Aid on a bigger issue. Do they need to go and get a striker yet? They probably need to go and get a better coach too, if they want to take advantage of, as Jeremy so kindly said, the best player in their club's history. Now, that does beg the question, is if this is your best player in your club's history's final window, is it worth shaking it up to the point where you get a new manager? I'd still probably say, yeah, the grass is probably greener.
Joss?
That's a good point. I wanted to make note of a couple things involving New England and Porter's time there. So last year, Porter had a 26% win percentage in charge of New England. That works out to about a 0.9 points per game. I guess that's how many points per game they're getting is 0.9, right? Guess what their what his win percentage is this year?
Points per game or win percentage?
Win percentage.
26.
He got 26% last year.
Don't say it's under 20.
I'm going
It's not.
32.
32?
Yeah, that's my guess.
Okay. It's 27%.
Oh my God.
So, By letter of the law, he has improved from 0.9 points per game to 1.1 points per game.
But he supposedly got his
Porterball is
guys,
back.
Joss. He supposedly got his guys, Joss.
When Bruce
1%
Arena
of
was
the
in charge
guys.
of the New England Revolution, his win percentage was 48% in 2023.
But he was also a naughty boy, you know.
And we don't know what he did. We don't know what he did.
Dude, that was the
Um,
worst coach firing in MLS history.
They went
You know-
from 48% down to 20. They about halved it. So, with all that being said, if we wanted to take another chance at Caleb Porter, hey man, let's shoot for 28%. Let's go. Let's get it. But yeah, I think it's about time for him to walk, even with the cycle supposedly in play.
Now, I will say, we got to find a chaotic hypothetical New England here. There's one hire that you would make that would keep would be chaotic enough. Like, I'm not looking for will change New England, right? I don't care if New England. I like the fact that New England always get to the championship final and then they lose. I think that's very fun for the league. It's just very funny. And I'm here for it, right? So I want more chaos for New England. Sorry, New England. Who are some coaches you guys would put on New England? If you had the say. Good, Jeremy.
Matias Almeida.
Question.
Matias Almeida. All right, I have one. I have one cooking, but I'll wait to see. We got Almeida. Josh.
Who do you?
I mean,
who- I'm looking.
Yeah, I mean, I say it every single time. I'm going to say Jim Curtin. You want chaos? Bring the 4-2-1-2 master.
Jim Curtin makes a team, though. That's where I'm at with Jim Curtin right now.
You
Like
said
Jim-
he does what to the team?
He makes a team. Like he is like, I put him with Greg Berhalter in the sense that, oh, Greg's back in MLS and he's coaching the Fire. I'm here for it, right? Like Jim Curtin could get a job anywhere and instantly they'd become a better team.
Fuck. How about Wayne Rooney one last ride?
Oh, there we go.
Yes, great take.
We're back.
Great take.
That's what we needed.
My
I got-
take
I
is
got one, but Josh, go.
he's a National Soccer Hall of Fame member. He's from the New England area. I mean, New Jersey, but New England adjacent. Played for the Metro Stars. Peter Vermes.
I knew it.
Welcome back.
That was my pick.
Get him in.
That was my pick.
Get him in. I mean, he's Bruce Arena adjacent, right?
Yes.
He's Bruce Arena with, I mean, maybe better politics. Again, not totally sure what Bruce Arena did. Don't sue us. But I'd say get him in. Bring him in. Let him have full control because it's gone so well. And let him be the guy that you take with you into your new stadium, which is the new hypothetical New England stadium.
It's coming,
Because
guys.
that's what he
It's
did for
coming.
us.
Damn. Well, that was my pick.
Oh shit!
What if I went? I'm gonna go crazy. Give it to Dax McCarty. Straight off of the pundit tree, right into the top. Get in here and fix it, bro.
You know, it's so funny that you said Dax McCarty. I almost said Landon Donovan because of the San Diego Loyal days. Like, how
Oh,
funny would
yeah.
that be? Just an all-American owner hiring an all-American coach to have less than a 0.26 win percentage.
You know what?
Well,
That
now-
makes more sense though with the Kurt and Alpha connection as well.
Now that you're saying that, I mean, Taylor Twellman, right?
Oh my god!
Be here for that.
I mean, the guy is
Bypass-
he's a Revolution legend. 101 goals in 174 games. Bring him in.
I think
Yeah,
they
back when we employed clerks.
I think they did like a big celebration. Did you guys see that?
No,
that was pretty
So
neat.
yeah, Alexi Lawless stormed the Capitol.
Now, fellas, let's talk about the teams ahead of them. We got the Red Bulls, we got Chicago, we have New York City. I think this is going to be one of the most fun Eastern Conference endings ever. And I think we're all rooting for Chicago, right? Like, is that where we are in this mid tier of the Eastern Conference? What are you guys feeling about these teams? I'll start with Daniel.
Chicago has to make it, dude. They are so fun. They are the San Jose Earthquakes of the Eastern Conference. I love Chicago. That said, I just always you just know one of these Red Bull teams is going to make it, man. It's not one of these Red Bull teams. One of these New York teams is going to make it. And that's what kind of sucks about it. It feels like the Red Bulls are just going to always be there. And obviously the Red Bulls of the two teams are the one I'm leaning towards because theoretically they're the most talent, and they just always seem to be there. And they finally got their first big win after 7 years against Philly, so that's a momentum builder. But Chicago has to be there. Zinkernagel's so freaking good. That whole team's so freaking good. I don't know why they are where they are. Maybe it's a GGG problem.
Oh, come on. No, I can tell you exactly why. They never really had a full strength team or a full strength back line. I think it's only recently that Carlos Turan is back in the, but they still conceded 2, right? But Turan, and it was so hard for Jack Elliott at a time, bro. Barroso is also out, so you kind of were at the mercy of Jonathan Dean, who, by and large, I think is still pretty good. You know what I mean? But they've had some injuries back there, and I'm just glad now they're sort of stabilized with Carlos Turan back there. I'm gonna go to Jeremy. What are you making of this 3-way race here between these 3 teams?
I am fascinated by it. And it's so much more intriguing than the race in the West. I feel like the race in the West is for top 4, and that's still starting to slip away from some teams. But here's what I'm looking at, because right now there's one team that very clearly controls their own destiny, and it's New York City FC, because they played 25 games. Chicago's played 26. Red Bulls have played 27. Here's where things are going to get nuts for NYCFC. In mid-September, after the international break ends, they're immediately going to play 4 games in 10 days. They host DC United. Oh, no, wait. That's in August. That's right before the international break. Scratch that. They open that post-international break stretch by going to Chicago. 6-pointer. Then they host Columbus 3 days later. 2 days later, they host Charlotte, which is insane. Like, they don't even get they go from a Wednesday to a Friday. There is 1 day in between that. That is absolutely nuts. And then they host Miami 4 days after that on the next Wednesday. So that's 4 games in 10 days, 3 of them at home. That defines where they land. That's where they catch up with these games in hand. So they still control their own destiny. Chicago, their 1 game in hand is here somewhere. It's in the middle of the international break when they play New England. So that's their game in hand. But they are even 4 home, 4 road for the rest of the season. And some of those home games, you got NYC coming to town, which I already touched on. You've got Columbus and Toronto coming to town. Their decision day game is away at New England, but they also have to go to Miami and Philadelphia for their next 2, which they haven't been good against playoff teams. That's tough. One of their other remaining road games is against Minnesota. Not very encouraging. And then there's whatever the hell the Red Bulls are about to get into, which is nothing good. They're going to Charlotte. They host Columbus. Then they have to go to Portland, which not usually an easy place to play, and also a place where the Red Bulls haven't played in a while.
Interesting.
Then they go to Montreal. Then Hudson River Derby on the 27th of September. Huge game. Technically, the Red Bulls are hosting it. I don't even think it matters who hosts the Hudson River Derby. That's just how boring of a game it is. And their final 2 games of the season, home against Cincinnati, the best road team in the league since Noonan took over, and at Columbus. Red Bulls are the odd man out here. I do not like the way the schedule goes. They have one cupcake on the schedule and they still have to go on the road for it. And they don't have the like added hope of having games in hand. This is NYC and Chicago's like spots to lose, which means that their playoff streak is very much on the line. So it's going to be fascinating to see. Yeah, it's going to be really fascinating to see how this like turns out. I'm very excited for it. But also, Chicago Fire, ultimate chaos team. We're all rooting for them. They are technically tied on with the Red Bulls on points with the game in hand. Just get it over the line, guys. Please. Please.
Josh,
I am begging you, Chicago Fire.
Josh, what are you thinking here?
Yes, hello. I concur with much of what's been said already. The thing that I want to note is if Brian Gutierrez doesn't slot an 87th minute winner in the last game against St. Louis to give Chicago the win, we're probably talking about them in a lot different light right now, because we're looking at their next two games being Philly and Miami, and the hope kind of dwindles a little bit. They needed to get these 3 points, and they did. So for that reason, I think Chicago they're clutch when it matters, and I think that's what's going to carry them over the line. And they're a lot more fun. They are fun. They're fun to watch. They're enjoyable. And Philip Zinkernagel and Hugo Kuipers and Jonathan Bamba, I think that they deserve to get their chance to shine in the playoffs. So purely on the basis of I love it when the good players are in and the bad players are not in, I'm going with Chicago.
One thing I do want to add is there is some strife with Brian Gutierrez, because it doesn't feel like he's really taken off in the way that he hasn't taken that next step. And I don't think that's off to say, because I think when we think about Brian Gutierrez, we think about this super silky player that can, thread a needle or like, is always selfless and will like, find these like dimes. Been a lot less of that. And so I think what's going to help is new signing Andre Franco, who joins from Porto, I believe, right?
Yes.
So
another Portuguese league import.
Yeah, and this guy wants to play at Chicago. He said he was friends with one of the assistant coaches, or he was familiar with one of the assistant coaches, and was like, yo, I see the project you guys got going on at Chicago. I want to come in, and they're giving him a shot. And just for that alone, I mean, that if that doesn't have 2016 Ladero vibes to it, I don't know what does. And a team that kind of needs like a little kick in the butt for all parties involved, right? I just can't help but feel like Chicago, like, it's gonna be a very sad endeavor if they miss the playoffs here. Like, it's just gonna be a total buzzkill. For New York City, I want to ask you fellas, how are we feeling about their new signing, Nicholas Fernandez-Mercado? Because I really do like the player. I know they got 2 assists in their debut, so kind of not really a goal here for them. But what are you guys feeling on Nico Fernandez? Damn. Nothing, no thoughts.
There.
Why are we feeling like that? I'm hyped for this dude, bro. Like, personally, I think it might work out. But beyond that, I mean, New York City, I think we're not talking enough how they also beat Nashville. And
True.
are we thinking it's just because of the field? Is
they
Yankee
have the best home
Stadium?
field advantage they have the best home field advantage in the entire league, because they play on a field that they are built to exploit. And it's not even from like a crowd standpoint. Like, it's literally just the field.
Yeah, I mean, for that same exact reason, Jeremy, I really don't have anything nice to say about him. And that's why I didn't really want to talk about him when I talked about who I like to make the playoffs. It just feels like it's a team that's built to win home games and squeak out 4-3 away wins against FC Dallas.
Hey, that was still a fun away game, though. That's the thing. It's like the home field is one thing, but when Mercado's out here, like, fitting in well in NYC, and then they go on the road and he's still balling out. Like, I don't know. I'm just really high on Mercal. Not to say I'm sold on NYC as a whole, but I mean they like Jeremy said, they have ultimate like pole position here. Like it's theirs to lose at this point. But any other thoughts on these three teams? Like I'm here for this Eastern Conference dogfight, bro.
Go Chicago.
I think NYCFC are they are. I mean, they're on 6. Is it undefeated in 6? No, they're 4-1-1 in the last 6. So they're hitting an upswing, or they're in the middle of an upswing. Let's see exactly like where this sort of pans out. But beating Nashville is definitely like a notch to their belt that they can look on and say, look, if we can do it to Nashville, then we could probably just make it into the playoffs.
All right. So if we're saying that about NYCFC and Nashville, why are we not giving the Red Bull the same love for breaking a 7-year losing streak against the best team in in Major League Soccer?
Because they should have won the Open Cup game and they shat their pants, Daniel.
You know what? I'm not gonna argue that. You can have that one.
I like to see Serge Ngoma out there though. Big fan of Serge Ngoma. I think had the injuries not been such a thing, I think he'd be at a completely different spot. But the more minutes he gets and plays, I'm all just for that, because Serge Ngoma is a talent, dude. Like, and that'll be kind of. I would love to see a Mr. October run from him if that were the case. Because that's the thing. It's like we can't forget some of these players go on crazy tears. It wasn't that long ago that Van Zier popped off and took that hot form through to the final, right? So I'm looking at Serge and Ngoma for consistent minutes. For NYC, it's Mercal. For Chicago, it's hopefully Andre Franco impresses, but if not him, like definitely need to see Gutierrez step up, because one of these guys has got to come good for all of them, I think. Am I missing anyone on New York Red Bulls you guys are high on?
No.
Like, does anyone like Dennis Gengar?
No. No.
I think Ash Ketchum does.
Like, I see
That's
Dennis
crazy.
in the lineup. I'm like, man, this is gonna be not fun going forward. But I guess there's just not that many people exciting on New York Red Bulls. Like, even Emil Forsberg doesn't. He's not playing at it. Like, I get hyped for Thomas Muller. He's probably the new shiny toy in town. But even Emil Forsberg seems a step off, bro. Like, I do not like this system at all for them.
Did you guys bring up
the needle?
Sorry, we all talked over each other. What did you say? Did you guys bring up the NYC? Did I miss it? Did you guys bring up that NYCFC has 2 games in hand?
Yes.
Yeah,
I absolutely did.
I just missed it. Fuck.
Daniel, they're playing both of those games in hand in a span of 3 days.
Who are those games?
It's oh my god. I said this earlier, but I'm going to go back to it because it's kind of nuts.
Real Madrid and then Barcelona.
That is true. Those 2 games in hand are Columbus and Charlotte.
Oh,
Yeah,
LNL.
Madrid and
Never
Barcelona.
mind. Sorry. Yeah, same thing. LNL. I feel better about it. They're not home games, are they?
They're both home games. I don't know which
one.
Though. Hey, if there's any team that can do that, it's New York. They're all young as hell.
Yeah, because their field's 20 feet shorter.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that we've been talking about the East, and like we're not going to talk about Atlanta this episode. However, I did want to point out one thing. Derek Williams moved to Reading, right? And I know this is extremely off topic, but he moved to Reading. And when he posted on Instagram about it, John De Silva replied and said, he's out of the gulag.
I did see that, bro. Atlanta's the
That's
new
fucking
gulag,
awesome.
Bro.
I know we're not going to talk about that, but I really think that Gaffarani, bro, it's over. It's so over.
Maybe not, though. Maybe not. Let's talk though. Let's head over to the Western because we talked about the three teams beneath the playoff line. We're going to talk about the three teams above it. Colorado probably had the best weekend overall. They are in 7th with 36 points. Austin right behind them, 35 with 2 games in hand. And San Jose, 32 games, 4 points behind the Rapids, same amount of games. I think it's fair to say this one is like the Rapids, even with that additional game, like this was probably the best boost, like table boost they could have benefited from. Portland dropped points. Austin dropped points. San Jose dropped points. San Jose. Yeah, San Jose dropped
They did
points.
drop points.
Yeah, they freaking lost it late as hell. And then RSL dropped points. Like this is probably the biggest momentum push that they could have needed after getting rid of Georgie. We'll talk about the game on Burgundy Banter and more of my thoughts on it. But right now, this is strong position for Colorado. Austin could make it a bit challenging there because they do have those 2 games in hand. And then really it's just kind of San Jose's to lose. But how are we feeling about this middle 3, fellas?
I mean, you got to be excited if you're a Rapids fan, right? Because, yeah, I mean, think you're creeping up on Portland, who has to go play San Diego, who not in their best form right now, but still always a tough out. And you have the LA Galaxy next week. So there's a legitimate opportunity if you're a Rapids fan that you're sitting 6th in the table next week. So of those 3 teams you discussed, I mean, Austin has those 2 game in hands, and they play such a different style of soccer that it kind of, I mean, they can lose to anybody, beat anybody, or theoretically really draw everybody. And San Jose, San Jose is always going to be that team that scores 2 or 3 goals and gives up 2 or 3 goals. So I think we all think that they're going to be the team in that 9th spot, even though they have Real Salt Lake and FC Dallas creeping up. But I don't think we're all super worried about where San Diego sits, right? But of those 3 teams, Colorado Rapids needed that boost, and they are sitting in a really good position to continue gaining momentum. They're the only team of those 3 that have 6 points in the last, 3 games. And they're finally finding their stride, and they're doing it without the guy who was their best player all season. So, I mean, big ups if you're a Colorado Rapids fan right now. I mean, you have a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, that's because Rafael Navarro was always the best player. Everyone knew that.
How can I forget?
Yeah, out of nowhere, right? And it's a lot of egg on my face because I've always been I'm off a denier. So to see him kind of come good at a time when Rapids lose a core piece, and maybe even kind of hinted at it, where like Georgie always succeeded despite the mismatch in style, right? And so now with an actual fit in style, it seems like the Rapids finally have their system that they wanted, like an identity, more than anything, an identity. And I think that's what they've missed, even with Georgie on the field. Now, I want to ask you guys, maybe want to reframe this table position, because maybe adding San Jose here is a little bit too, beneficial for them. Is there any team below San Jose that you think can overtake San Jose, or is this really just San Jose's spot to ride into? Because all the teams beneath them have a game in hand, and they're gonna play Houston, so beating Houston is a big separator between them and the rest of the pack. How are we feeling about San Jose in this? Now they look like in a very precarious table position with a game in hand, a game of played ahead of 3 teams chasing them.
I default to the schedule on this, particularly when it comes to a team that has no games in hand. So it becomes very important for them to keep picking up the points for every single game they have, just to maintain, because there will be catching up done below them based on the fact that they don't have a game in hand. These games that are coming up before this international break, they are in Texas twice. They are at Houston and they are at Austin. No idea how those are going to go, because anything can happen with San Jose. But after the international break ends, they have 2 home games against LAFC and St. Louis. I expect them to beat St. Louis. Probably not LAFC guys, but it could happen.
Trap
You
game.
know,
Trap
it's
game.
weird. Yeah, that could very much be an LAFC trap game. But then they close out the year with 3 games, with San Diego away, Vancouver away, and then they host Austin on decision day, which could be a play-in game for the wild card. That's gonna be fun, guys. But only 3 of these final 7 are at home. The 2 toughest road games are in the final stretch of the season, and the 2, I guess, like trappiest, because I think Houston could be trappy, and Austin is just gonna be weird. I'm predicting they enter the international break with 3 points from those 2 games. I think they get the win against Austin. They get the win against Houston, and they lose to Austin through like some Diego Rubio like nonsense. I feel like that's going to be a Diego Rubio game. But yeah, and then you look at the teams below them, RSL, and what they have to go through. They have 5 of their final 8 at home. Wow.
So we're thinking RSL.
Wow. And that includes a Rocky Mountain Cup. That includes Austin. That includes SKC. That includes LAFC, which, I mean, it's not going to be snowing in September. So Chirundolo is going to be a little bit okay with that. And then they have Minnesota at home this weekend. So RSL, they have a very strong run in just based on having a ton of home games. Dallas is majority. No, they're equal. They have 4 home, 4 away. And they play the Galaxy twice. They haven't played the Galaxy at all this year. One of those could be a Ricky Pooge return. You know, I feel like he does make a return this year, but like plays like a half of like each of the final like 3 or 4 games. And then Houston, well, how fucked is Houston? Yeah, I think we already discussed how fucked Houston is. So I think that going in to the just schedule wise, RSL has the advantage, but San Jose, they have to get every single point they can from every single game. I think that might be too much for them. I think RSL is going to be able to leapfrog.
Man, it's going to be exciting either way. Any final thoughts on Austin, Colorado, San Jose, Daniel, Joss?
No, not really.
No?
Said my piece. I think Colorado Rapids have an exciting couple games ahead of them.
Let's switch over on to the Eastern Conference now. We're talking teams in the playoffs right now. You know, if we were all said and done, and I don't count the play-in game. What is it called? Wild
The
card?
game of death.
Whatever it is, the Uno reverse fixture. I'm here for Charlotte, Columbus, Miami, bunch of games in hand. And we'll loop in Orlando and Nashville because I think it's kind of safe to say with this loss for Nashville, they're kind of out of the, well, maybe not. Maybe we'll include them, but how are we feeling about this mid-table in the East, fellas? And I'm not really sure where you would draw the line. Would you draw it Philly and below, and to include Nashville, Orlando? I mean, Miami still have 3 games on everyone. Columbus have 1, a very good result for them, as I think they won, right? The road? Where are they?
They tied Toronto.
They tied Toronto? How am I missing?
Columbus.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm on last week. I'm on match day 28 on the week before. But how are we feeling about this Eastern Conference table, fellas? We'll go Nashville and below to Charlotte.
I mean, is this the best Eastern Conference we've ever seen?
Probably,
so.
at least at the top.
Very
I mean,
competitive.
This is just a grind the whole way down. I mean, if it comes down to like Do I like Nashville better than Orlando? Like, I can't say yes or no. Do I like Nashville better than Inter Miami? I can't say yes or no. Same thing with Columbus. Same thing with Charlotte. I mean, this team. I mean, this is just a brutal, like, top 7. And if you can somehow sneak Chicago in there, be a brutal top 8. Like, really, anyone can beat anyone. I mean, this playoffs is going to be electric. I think this is locked in. These are the teams we're going to see in the playoffs. It just comes down to, I mean, who's playing in those games, particularly in those bottom 2 spots. But I mean, this is just brutal, top to bottom. Honestly,
Let's start here.
Said it 4 times.
Let's zoom in on Miami, because then we can get them out of the way. But I can't help but foresee a Miami crash out of Leagues Cup, and like, I think they make the final and then they lose, and every time that's happened, anytime you've had a deep run in the Leagues Cup, you feel it in the immediate after effects of the season. Now, maybe Miami are just too.
From Rapids experience.
I mean, it's happened in Nashville the year before, right? And speaking from Rapids experience, but there's just something about that locker room that I'm like, I feel like the you guys seen the Dexter meme of the guy just like looking at
in the car.
Yeah, like in the car. He's like,
yeah.
I know something's about to implode at Miami. I just can't really quite put my finger on how it will. But I'm thinking a Leagues Cup hangover in one way or another. And maybe the talent is just too good to deny on this team. And that's probably, the more logical assessment. I can't help but feel that some personality like clash is bound to happen. I mean, this team lost to Orlando pretty handedly last week, and they get a little. They have a cherry pick of a end of season here, but sandwich that in with Leagues Cup. How are we feeling about Miami, fellas?
The wheels come off this week. They're not going to make that final. They are losing to Tigres.
Okay, so
Very
it happens sooner.
confident.
It happens sooner.
Yeah, it happens sooner. They lose to Tigres, and then the wheels completely fall off when they lose this weekend to DC United.
And then Chicago comes in, punches them in the mouth next week.
Yeah, and then they drop points in Charlotte, but they have their get right game against the Seattle Sounders.
hater energy, right? Fellas, where's Miami's ceiling? How are we feeling about this? Joss, where would you cap off this Miami season? Like what's their limit?
Miami's ceiling, I think, it is entirely dependent upon which new center back they can bring in and skirt the rules around for a little bit. I think
Emi Martinez,
Miami,
they're trying to the goalkeeper.
I mean, Juan, I think you might have gotten boogered.
That was
really?
Tweet.
That was booger?
Juan got boogered.
That's awesome.
Live booger.
I saw it in passing and I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then I like moved on. I didn't even.
Anyway, yeah, I think that's going to be defined by which center back they can bring in for and skirt the rules a little bit. I mean, they just won against the Galaxy. Would have been impressive last year. This year, not so much. But they got tanked by Orlando last weekend, and it's really, I think, a perfect example of Miami's sort of wishy-washy season, where they may put together a run of good results. You look at their Leagues Cup form, for example, or like when they drop 5 on the Red Bulls, but they drop 5 on the Red Bulls right after losing in Cincinnati by 3-0. So it's really hard to put this Miami team in a specific spot, because I don't think that their results this season have kind of lent them to have a specific spot where they'll finish. But I really don't see them finishing any higher than 6th, if I'm being honest. I don't think that they'll keep this 5th spot for very much longer, especially with all of the games that they still have to play. I mean, they've got 3 games in hand, but we're getting to the end of the season. I fear. Actually, let's take a look. What is their schedule looking like? I mean, they're still in Leagues Cup, right? So then
DC.
they've got they've got DC on the 23rd, and then a week later they've got Chicago coming to their place, which will be a good game. And then on the
Here for that one.
13th, they're going away to Charlotte, and then 3 days later they're hosting Seattle, and then 4 days later they're playing DC at home, and then 4 days after that they're going to New York. Then 3 days after that they're going to Toronto. So anywhere from 13th of September to the 27th, which is that's 2 weeks exactly, they're playing 6 games. No, 5 games. They're playing 5 games in 2 weeks. That's crazy. That'll be what defines where they end up this season. It's not going to be the hardest schedule, but is Mascherano going to be able to handle it well enough and handle his guys' minutes? I'm not so sure.
My favorite possible outcome is them still getting top 4, but dropping both games against DC. I think that would be perfect.
That would be funny.
Now, I want to
God, dude.
bring up one more fella here for Miami before we move on. Luis Suarez. Fellas, it's hard for me because he will have these moments where he pops off, right, against Pumas in Leagues Cup, goal, 2 assists. He got a goal against the Galaxy. But, I mean, I have not been sold by Luis Suarez at all this season. And I can't help but feel that he is a net negative on this team. How are we feeling on Suarez this season in MLS? Because there's only so much, man. At his age and with his knee issues, bro, it's like, bro, come on, bro. What do you guys think about Suarez?
Oh,
Big,
man.
big Unk vibes, but when it comes to MLS striker quality, I think we're holding him to a little bit higher of a standard because of his last name and his history and all that stuff. I mean, just by the numbers, he is one of the more, not the most productive, because that would just be a crazy statement, but he's one of the more productive strikers in Major League Soccer. I just think his bad moments, it's almost like, it's hard to describe, but his bad moments, because he has a ton of them, outshine his good moments because his bad moments are so funny. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're just so loud mistakes, right?
Yeah, they're so loud. Like you can't forget him. Like he'll score like a crazy transition tap in. Yeah, it'll look like a tap in, but they would have had a crazy sequence prior to him doing it. But 30 minutes prior to that, he'll completely whiff on a ball right in front of him and get chased down by a 6'6", 220-pound defender. Like, what the fuck is going on? This guy, he's an unk. It's what he is. It's like that guy at the park who just won't hang it up. He's 60 years old, balling on 20-year-olds.
Now I'm sorry, Daniel.
No, you're good. You're good. I was finishing up. You're good.
I'm totally imagining at the end of last season, Miami crash out to Atlanta in the playoffs. The locker room is tense. Suarez is there contemplating retirement. And then Messi comes over and he's like, not yet, son. We got a job to do. And then he injects him with horse tranquilizer or something, bro. He just sticks it in his knees and he's like, you've got one more in you. And he pets him like a prized racehorse.
And good boy.
Good, yeah. And Suarez almost he's resisting the urge to bite him. And he's also thinking oh man, I could totally just be on a beach right now. I don't want to have to come back and play in this Florida humidity and heat for half of the year.
Go to New England.
But he cannot let his boy down. This is it's almost like a Stockholm syndrome relationship between the two of them. That's what I'm envisioning right now.
Now, I want to shift over to the 2 teams below Miami, Columbus, Charlotte. Because to some degree, I think I kind of do rate Columbus ahead of Miami. Though I completely spaced that they drew 1-1 and not get to see Abu Ali. But beyond that, Charlotte, big 1-0 win at home. Probably should have been 1-1. But how are we feeling on these 2 teams? Are we right? Are we willing to say that they're better than Miami or right where they, right where they should be in terms of Miami's level here? And also, do any of these 2 teams fall below New York City?
None of them fall below New York, but I do believe that I think right now Charlotte's the better team than Columbus because Columbus is without Darlington Nagbe and their big summer signing has not even made the bench yet. So I think that's worrisome. Charlotte though, I want to talk about Charlotte. I think this is the show where we what was it? May. They just could not find a way to win a game. Now they've rattled off 2 straight league victories. Actually,
5 straight.
6, 7, 6. No, it's 6. Holy shit, it's 6. RSL, Cincy, Toronto, Atlanta, DC, NYC. Not the top of the league, but these last 2 have come against quality opposition. I think RSL is certainly quality opposition, even without Diego Luna. But can I say the word Gorno for 10 seconds straight? Are we allowing this?
One big Gorno, or is it one big Gorno, or?
Oh my
Do it again.
God. Gorno! He is. He is the truth. He is the answer.
I freaking told Daniel. I told Daniel, no need to worry. We got Talk Lamati doing the
Gorno,
things.
baby.
We have him. And
Gorno.
Daniel said, no. I don't know if I'm ready to trust Gorno, but here we are with Iden, Gorno, Talk Lamati. What is it?
Say the third last name.
Forget the third last name.
Shit, I was hoping you had it. I don't have it.
Something.
Fuck, I'll find it.
Markovic. Ivan
Gorno Toklamati
Markovic. God. Every time
he passes the name test.
Yeah, he just gets name after name with each run of form, but he's coming good, man.
Keeps playing like this. We'll be changing his last name to Chill soon. I almost said my actual last name. That was crazy. Fuck.
And how many goals will he score? Can you put that in social security form number?
yeah, I got you. DMs. Check your DMs.
I'm sold on Charlotte, though. And they did it again without Pep Biel, which I think should be, like, not only did they beat, because who did they beat last week? They beat, was that Cincinnati? Without Pep Biel. Like, that's crazy. On the road, no less.
With a very controversial red card, Juanners, not it doesn't happen every time where a player goes right in from behind with studs out, gets the leg, and gets a red card for it. That never happens in this league.
Was that the Anunga?
That was the Anunga. Very, very clear and obvious red card that Cincinnati fans still had an issue with.
Yeah, I'm still here for it though. Charlotte, man. Charlotte is they're popping off, man. And I don't know where they're. I mean, Columbus have a game in hand on them. Miami have 3, and so after that, you're staring up at Orlando and Nashville, both with the same amount of games. So they are kind of a big 6-pointer away from really solidifying themselves. Do we know if Charlotte play Miami at all in the stretch here?
They do.
That'll be.
You got it.
I mean, that'll be it, man. That'll be the.
They play them on like a 3-game short rest too, Miami.
Yeah. And that's kind of like when we'll have our come to Jesus moment on Charlotte team. But beyond that, look at this. They have Red Bulls, who they hit. For the Red Bulls is a 6-pointer, and to some extent, I guess the Charlotte is too. New England Revolution, Miami, New York City FC, Montreal, DC United, and then a big decision day against Philly. And Philly have shown they can lose. They have U.S. Open Cup as well. But all the reason to believe after all those away games that that they suffered, all the reason now to believe that Charlotte can really compete. Like, it's like they rubber banded, Remember, because in the beginning we were really high on Charlotte in this kind of way of like, yeah, they are a real team that are fun to watch. They have an identity, they have the talent, and then middle of the season, that road game stretch, even selling Ajimang, a little bit of adversity there, and then rubber banding right back to being kind of good at the right moment. So I mean, yeah, I think that's fair for them. What about Orlando and Nashville, fellas? Because both of those teams also have been really fun to watch. I'll turn it over to Joss. Do you have any favorite of these two that you like to watch?
Orlando were fun to watch, man. I'll tell you what. It was really fun to watch.
I totally forgot
I
that
really
they
like
played SKC.
I really like watching Orlando, man. And like even with the kind of what I'm calling the Luis Muriel problem, in that he just can't seem to really get a run of form going. It's just really awesome to watch how they can like turn to two amazing strikers off the bench. I mean, Enrique came on and scored the go-ahead goal for Orlando this past weekend. And it's just kind of it's a problem that many teams would kill to have. And yeah, I think Orlando are in such a good position coming to the playoffs because their starting 11 is so good, but their depth does not really drop off much either. I don't think. They have Edward Atuesta, who is probably playing. He's playing out of his skin right now. He was really good on Saturday, as well as he's just been really good this whole season. And if he wasn't for like an injury setback, I think he would be in conversations for. I don't know. Would he qualify for comeback? He wouldn't be comeback player of the year. But where did
How
Orlando?
would he be? I don't know how he'd be comeback player of the year, considering he was pretty good for LAFC last year too.
Yeah, right. I was just saying, like, because he left the league for Palmeiras and then he came back.
Yeah, because
But
I mean,
I think he's one of the
too. There's also like if there was an award for what would you call that? Because think about this: Miguel Almiron came back to MLS, and he fucking nosedived. So Atuesta coming back to MLS and proving his worth. There's got to be some award for that.
Because he's not he's not a newcomer either.
Yes, not a newcomer, but what would old comer?
He's kind of like a rebound. He's like a rebound or something. I don't know.
Rebound of the year?
Glass cleaner of the year?
Glass cleaner?
Glass cleaner?
Cleaning all the glass with all those rebounds?
Oh, okay.
No,
but yeah, I think Atuesta, he deserves to have an award for himself. Like that's how good he's been for Orlando.
The Wel-Comeback play. Ooh.
Oh.
Not a comeback, but a Wel-Comeback
I'm liking that.
player.
I like that. Orlando, they're the team to watch. They have exciting strikers. They have one of the best goalkeepers in the league in Galese. They have a pretty strong defense, but it's their midfield, it's their wingers you're tuning in for. It's the Pasalic, it's the Ojeda, and it's the strikers that you're tuning in for and really looking to see how good they are. So yeah, Orlando's my pick.
I
have an Orlando point really quickly.
Go for it.
I'd like to give my flowers to Dagger Dan Thorhalsen. He was Orlando's starting right back last year. He was very good. He started this game at right back. At halftime, he moves into the midfield so Alex Freeman can come on the pitch. His play doesn't drop at all. It's having those types of players on this team that makes Orlando so dangerous come playoff time. They will score goals because of Ojeda, Pasalic, whichever striker gets the start. But it's the Dagger Dans that will really help them in the playoffs.
Next match for Orlando is Nashville. So that's kind of big, a big fight in the Eastern Conference. It might end up being a draw when it's all said and done. But Nashville, I think Jeremy harped on it last week. The tertiary options for Nashville are non-existent. It's either Mukhtar or Sam Surridge who are going to get you the goals, the bulk of the assists as well. And none of that is more evident than their loss against New York City. I know we can talk about that home field advantage, but Nashville had some chances in this game, and it was chances to like the usual suspects, right? To Jonathan Perez, Schaffelberg, who did score his chance here. He had plenty of those like in behind goals, and Nashville had every reason to kind of find a better result here. Now, maybe I'm being too harsh on them on this recent game because of the weather delay. Like, that is sure to ruin anybody's confidence, especially conceding right before the weather delay. But I think with Nashville, like, I think they're just running out of juice. And like Jeremy said, we don't know about that third option. Whether Ahmed Kazem is that form away, is that like good end of year form away or not, I still to be seen. And I had kind of high hopes for Kazem as well, so I'm kind of sad to see him not do as well. Maybe that's where the Swedish league is starting to like form in it of itself, right? But any Nashville thoughts, fellas? Because they're in a strong position. Playoffs is, I don't think they fall out of the playoffs necessarily. That's going to take a lot for them to do that, but it seems like Nashville's like candidate number one to just draw out the rest of this season, and I feel like they would, just to ensure, they don't get hurt. Because could you imagine Henny goes down, Sam Surridge goes down? It's like, pack it up.
I'm curious. You go, Jeremy.
Yeah. They're in the middle of a giant injury crisis right now at left back. Andy Nahar played left back in this one. He should not be playing left back. He's a right back. But he has to because they have no other healthy left backs. Also, it has been brought to my attention that a certain Alan Carlton made the bench for Nashville in this game.
What? The
Alan Carlton.
Right.
We don't know where he was. And oddly enough, based on this profile picture, if you told me this was a young Alexi Lawless, guys, and we all know where Alexi Lawless was on January 6th.
Allegedly.
He could actually be the a potential attacking piece for this team. He has 10 goals and 6 assists in 17 games in Next Pro. And at a point where Next Pro players such as Malik Henry, such as Osaze de Rosario, are having some success playing for the first teams, I don't know why in the 80th minute you're turning to a 35-year-old Teal Bunbury instead of a guy who is playing a position that you're very weak at, who's had success at the Next Pro level. So, although it's an infamous last name, does Alan Carlton get some game time before Tyler Boyd is back from his ACL injury? Because I think once Tyler Boyd comes back, it becomes pretty hard to drop him from this team. With Perez on the left, Boyd on the Perez on the right, Boyd on the left. Like,
no, you can't drop Alex Mule, bro. You cannot drop Alex Mule.
He was dropped for this game.
He's injured.
Yeah, but he's also like, when does he come back? The problem is it is their secondary options. I also think Tag Seth has had a really rough run of games as of late. And for someone who is so crucial to this midfield, he needs to be back in top form.
Any other thoughts, fellas, on Nashville? Josh?
Man, it's a nightmare if Sam Surridge or Hanny goes down. But I had a question for the panel, actually. We all know how important momentum is when it comes to the playoffs, right? We see teams that maybe have been killing it for most of the year, but suddenly something happens, they fall off right around when the playoffs happen, and they crash out first round of the playoffs. Conversely, we've seen teams who barely squeak above the playoff line on decision day, but that momentum carries them through to the conference finals or even all the way to MLS Cup. I'm curious, if you're Nashville and you're kind of on a bit of a downward turn now, does this give them enough time to turn it around before the playoffs start? And if it does, when should that turnaround happen? How long before the playoffs should a team be building momentum again?
They got U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think they should be going all out for the cup.
Yeah, because the East.
You think so? Okay.
The East is. I mean, who do you got to face? You got to face Philadelphia, right? That's going to be a playoff match, right? Playoff match that you prepare for. And then on the other side, Minnesota, Austin. Two teams that I think are worse than anybody in the East right now when it comes to like your like doggedness. Like I think Nashville have a clear path to trophy in the U.S. Open Cup if they so choose to take it. You know, because at that point it's like you're in the playoffs, like a roll of the dice, right? But what do you think, Daniel? Are you rating U.S. Open Cup as much here?
Yes, they need the silverware. It's good for morale. It's good for heading into the playoffs. Like, it's one of those things that you can really like lean back on, particularly if they are going to rest players. So I do think that is the smart thing to do because they are so reliant on we'll call them stars. They're reliant on the stars that they do have. My question for you is, because this is kind of what's been on my mind since you brought it up, is if they do end up resting and rotating, and obviously it does make sense to stop doing that come the last 2 or 3 games of the season to make sure you find form. But how far could you actually see them falling if they decide to do that? Like, what does that look like? Because that home field advantage is so crucial. Is it worth doing that to start your playoff journey away?
Yeah, because I mean, only 3 points separate Charlotte and Nashville, right? It is kind of a tough ask to rotate toward. I mean, at the same time, like, I can only imagine what the mood would be if one of those two guys went down. Like, I don't know if you are now playing just because I mean, this is the 3rd loss in a row, and one of those losses was against St. Louis. So it's like
Making it even worse.
It's one thing if you beat St. Louis and you come home. Well, I don't even. No, they weren't on the road. Like, it's one thing to then go on the road to New York, but losing to New York like that just allows them not really in a potential to overtake you, but we'd be thinking a lot differently if they had won that match or even drawn that match. Like, kind of keeping points after just some really bad losses. Yeah, I'm not sure on these guys. What do you think, Josh? To answer your
What's the
own
question?
questions. I mean,
okay, still the same question. Okay. I mean, I think, and I maintain this. I hate to be a Sporting KC truther here, but in 2023, when like SKC had a bit of a turnaround at the end of the season, they had gone on a bit of a winning streak. Eric Tommy had come in, Willie Agata was on form, and if they had just sneaked into the playoffs, I feel like they would have had a shot. It's the momentum that carries. And it was really the last 5 weeks that I started thinking that. The last 5 weeks, I think, before they were officially mathematically eliminated. They were mathematically eliminated with like 2 weeks to go before the playoffs started. So, or maybe before decision day. So
Much
I
like
think
this
around
year.
that time. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, if you can start picking up, I'm talking like 2 wins, 2 draws in the 4 games before the playoffs start. I'm betting on your team advancing in the playoffs unless you meet a team that has more momentum than you do.
They're going to get that momentum by winning the Open Cup. I think they do win the Open Cup.
That too. If this team is the one to win Nashville their first piece of silverware, then it could also be something that really carries them through the playoffs. Or they could have a hangover from it and they end up crashing out first round.
I'm here for it either way. It's going to be a good finale here for the Open Cup. Let's switch on over to the Western Conference. Top table sides here include Portland, LAFC, Seattle, only because I forgot to include Portland with Colorado and Austin, but which probably
I
the
don't know
tier
what
they
they are.
really should be, but exactly. Portland, LAFC, who have 2 games in hand on Seattle and Vancouver, 3 in hand to San Diego, Minnesota, above them first and second. But we're gonna toss in Vancouver as well into that tier, just because they're not necessarily at. I wouldn't necessarily have them in Supporters Shield conversations. I think it's really just 3 teams now, but we're gonna put a little asterisk on all these teams until they play the games out, right? But Minnesota to Portland, we got Cascadia in there, LAFC and Minnesota. How are we feeling about these teams? I want to ask first, and we'll start at the top. Are we all still like how are we feeling about Minnesota being not only this kind of team now at the top, but we were all pretty high on Minnesota. I think Minnesota was one of those teams we each had nailed on correctly in terms of where they're at in the West. And to see them this high up, it kind of reminds me of Spurs in 2016, because Spurs had found themselves clear the Premier League only for Leicester City to come in and be the actual hot streak winners. I think that's San Diego to some extent, but in keeping with the loon, the little bird, the same colors, right? White and it's navy, but whatever. How are we feeling about Minnesota, the Tottenham Hotspur of MLS?
I still prefer the Stoke City of MLS just based on how they play, but that's just me.
Okay. What are we feeling about them though? Are they still? Are we still feeling high on them coming into the final stretch of the season?
Yeah, absolutely. I am. Is anyone else as vindictive in saying that as I am?
Yeah, I'm hot for Minnesota, guys.
Why'd you sound so excited?
Because they are, besides Nashville, they're the team that's most likely to win the Open Cup.
At that, and to some extent,
True.
they kind of have to, because I don't know if you guys saw, but unless this was another Booger, Tom Booger. If I got a Booger twice, did I see that Tanny
double
Loisei was on the move? Is that correct?
I don't know if he's on the move.
legitimate?
I saw he had interest, and I think that was legit.
Yeah,
And
that
I
is
think they're in the process of signing another striker, aren't they? I didn't know Tanny was on his way out, but
Dominic Fitz.
yeah, when I saw that, I was like, why are they signing another striker? And that makes so much sense. Wow, Tanny's out. That's wild. I'm going to fact check that while you guys talk. Give me a second. I'll let you know if that was a booger bum or not.
That's real. That's real. That one is real. Dominic Fitz is real. The interest in Tawny is real. I think it's interesting that they're ignoring the number 6 position again. But you know what? You can't lose Tawny at this point in the season and not replace him with another productive attacker. So they got that going for them. I'm looking at the rest of their schedule. Their home games: Chicago, SKC, Portland. I think Portland's the only one that's really gonna force them to play with the ball. I don't think SKC is gonna give a shit on October 4th. Chicago's gonna have the ball a lot in that September 20th game. And in their real games, they're gonna play at the Galaxy, who are gonna have the ball. They're gonna play at Colorado, who are gonna have the ball. They're gonna play at San Diego, who I think San Diego's gonna have the ball. And then at RSL, who are absolutely going to have the ball. So I don't think that any of these games coming up are going to work against them in terms of the style that they want to play. The aside from this Open Cup game, which I am fascinated for. Oh my God, I am fascinated for this game. A Cup semifinal of 2 teams who do not want the ball. Oh boy, this is the dream that MLS provided us, everyone. 2 teams in a high stakes must-win cup match, potentially for a first trophy on the line, who are both terrified of the soccer ball. Oh, I can't wait for that. Yeah, Minnesota, I picked them to finish at top of the West for the start of the season. And I'm not surprised by this at all. I really aren't. I'm really not. They might be 5 points back of San Diego right now. But like that isn't that tough of a run-in. That really isn't. The toughest opponents come to them, aside from that San Diego game. But once again, they're built for road games. So I can very, very much see like them holding on to second spot in the West here, potentially climbing above San Diego too. That's also a possibility. That the way that St. Louis in 2023 team went, like I know San Diego hasn't like fallen off yet, but you have to worry about them falling off as they finish their first season together.
I have some San Diego thoughts. I can't wait to get into them, but we'll save them for the Shield talk. Let's go all the way the opposite end, Portland, because they had a rough one against their ex-lover, Mr. Evander. I'll let kind of Jeremy tell what kind of game this was, and I guess Portland so far, man. Like, how are we feeling about Portland? I'm kind of really waiting for these DP players to come in. I saw is the Paraguayan Rojas deal like legit?
That is legit. That is absolutely legit. They're just like still finalizing it. I expect him to be announced this week.
That's a great signing, first and foremost.
It is.
I think that is class signing there. Valda, I was always like, can't say one way or the other how we feel about him, but I could tell you right now, Matias Rojas is exactly what you need to go into the final, stretch of the season. But Jeremy, tell us about Portland. How are you feeling?
I don't want to really speak about this game. I want to speak about everything else that surrounded it because I was not watching MLS Countdown on Saturday. I was driving to the stadium so I could get in earlier than I normally do because of a huge throng of fans trying to get their hands on a Diego Chara bobblehead. And he did not play in this game. And a lot of people are pissed about that. But from the second Evander walks into the stadium, the boos start. The boos continue throughout whenever his name is mentioned as part of the starting lineup introductions. And then 3 minutes into this game, he has a cheap shot on Maxime Crepeau. During that MLS Countdown show, they said that this was purely a contract dispute. Sasha Kleshton and Dax McCarty did not do their research on that. I feel like the vast majority of MLS media has not properly done their research on this. And they're completely unaware of the reason why Evander left Portland last year. It was because he pouted and quit on the team, not like Santiago Moreno quit on the team where he just flew home, because that's a thing that happened this year too. He pouted and quit on the team because they weren't going to sell him after the MLS transfer window closed to Qatar. That's it. Simply that. And he's referenced so many times in these Instagram posts, this wasn't about you guys. Other things. That's all he'll say. He was given the opportunity point blank by a reporter to say what went wrong. To tell his side of the story. He decided to refer back to those Instagram posts that were like half chat GPT, half PR. Because they didn't say anything. He was given an opportunity to respond and tell his side of the story, and he responded by dodging the question. But allowing himself the opportunity to dodge the question, which is hilarious in my mind. So you have a player who essentially quit after a Qatar offer that was, first of all, undervalued and came in outside of the transfer window, got rejected. And he still has the audacity to be like, I didn't think it would be that bad getting booed. I didn't think that they were going to boo me that hard. And keep in mind, this is Portland. Like, there are no slurs being thrown at him. There are no cans or bottles being thrown at him. He's not getting the LAFC. He's literally just getting the single chant of fuck Evander. That's it. He didn't expect it to be this bad. I expected it to be exactly that. I didn't expect for the entire stadium to join in on it. But you know what? When you are the guy, you're brought in to be the guy, and it's clear that you just did not want to be here, and you have such high hopes that you're going to get into the Brazilian national team that you just decide to go like Qatar? You think you're going to get into the national team from Qatar? You think you're going to get into the national team from Cincinnati? What? So, this was a very satisfactory game for him. But also, he's got to be hurting after it, too. Because I think that he wanted to believe that fans would probably have more of his side here, given the terrible history between Portland's front office and the fan base. But in order to do that, you have to provide some substance, some context as to what actually happened. So far, the only verified news that I've received and that I've read online has come from the front office's point of view. He doesn't want to discuss it. So I feel like he's lost the PR battle. He got the win, and he probably scored his best goal of the season, if we're being honest. Like, that is an unbelievable strike. There's no chance Maxime Crepeau has to save that. But it also almost completely came tumbling down due to the other player who was playing against his former team. Who would like to talk about Kevin Kelsey?
Kevin Kelsey.
I never realized what it is. I just always read it as do. No, tell us about Kevin Kelsey, because I know he scored.
Oh, this is still on me? Okay. He has games where he's very good at finding goals, and then he has games where he is a baby deer or a baby giraffe, and he's just running around with his, like, by the way, like, the man has, like, probably the most defined legs I've ever seen. Like, they're pure tree trunks, and he's just unbelievably, like, strong, big. He has all the tools. The problem is he's just still a baby giraffe. Except in this game, where he put in his best performance as a Portland Timber. Screw the penalty. Screw the goals. This was a time where he was, like, being a substantial threat against Cincinnati's back three of Haglund, Robinson, Miazga, who are probably the best defensive trio in the entire league, if we're being completely honest with ourselves. He put in a very, very good performance in this game, and he nearly scored a hat trick if he wasn't a half step behind Roman Celentano trying to get on the end of an Anthony cross. And that would have been the first MLS hat trick in Timbers history. So while Evander gets...
Can't have those.
No, can't have it. Can't have shit. Can't even have, like, a nice night honoring the club legend who stayed, who never wanted to leave because he didn't get on the field, and instead the one who very much wanted to leave scores with his only shot of the game. You know, it's just that kind of stuff. I would like to turn it over to everyone, though. What are you thinking about Portland's rest of the season, given how tough their schedule is, and the fact that they could have played this game with two DPs, but none of the visas got done in time? And how do you think Christopher Velda and Felipe Carbajo will elevate this team? Because they will. But the question is, how much will they elevate this team?
Brother, I mean, I'm looking at this. You got San Diego, Minnesota, Seattle, San Diego again. What is your general record against Seattle away from Seattle? Catch me up on the lore.
Okay. The Portland Timbers have never lost in Seattle since I was in high school. I had just graduated from high school in 2017. They have not lost in Seattle since. And that was a streak that held through the entirety of the Giovanni Savarese era. He never lost up there. And Phil Neville is undefeated in his only trip up there from last year, where they drew 1-1 on decision day and lifted the Cascadia Cup in front of Seattle's fans, which was beautiful because they were handing out their little carnations as they do in the season. But one team was in the corner, celebrating a trophy. The Seattle Sounders didn't win a trophy last year, but the Portland Timbers did. Whatever. Here's that game I'm technically counting as another home game because of just how good their record is. Like keep this in mind. Raul Rui Diaz in his entire Sounders career never beat the Portland Timbers at home. Think about that.
I never rated Rui Diaz. I'm sorry.
This is going to be a generational hate watch on October 4th by all of us. I can't wait.
His ability to just somehow be open in the box all the time. But the problem is 9 times out of 10 he'd miss the chance. And somehow he was being hailed as like the best striker in the league. And it's like, okay, yeah, like there's a ton of chances, but like, no, be better. You're against MLS center backs, score. You're against MLS goalkeepers, fucking put them on target. Like, that's the problem. It wasn't even like, oh, save, they're getting blocked. It's just like they weren't even hitting the fucking target. But, yeah, I'm not too worried about that Seattle game. I'm more worried about decision day at home against San Diego. That is the most worrisome game on the schedule. Like, I could be worried about this weekend, but it's a road game, San Diego. Like, Portland, I think, is still better set up to play away from home than they are at this year. That's been my biggest worry for them all season. And now that they're actually getting the reinforcements that they need, and not only just the they need, but in the exact areas of the game where they struggle. You need a dynamic, creative winger who can create and score. You got Christopher Velda. You need a true partner for David Ajala in the midfield, particularly an 8 who can shoot from outside the box, which I've been told is bad, by the way, by Mr. Joseph Lowry, that it's bad that a player wants to shoot from outside the box. Ass. And then you get Rojas, who is going to be good, like, in regular open play, but he's going to be the upgrade on dead balls that they definitely need. They don't have a good corner taker right now. They don't have a good free kick taker. Those are the fine margins that can win you playoff games. So the problem is these players are coming in during the toughest part of the schedule. They aren't going to have the time necessary to properly adapt. But I think I can see them climbing up to 5th, maybe 4th, depending on what happens. But a lot of their games are against teams ahead of them. And some of those games are on the road. They don't have a lot of home games left. So, yeah, it's a little bit worrisome. But at the same time, I think they fixed the problems that they needed to fix in this transfer window.
Okay, so go ahead, Juanners. Then I'll finish up.
I wanted to table Portland because I want to come back to Portland the same way through San Diego. So a lot of my Portland thoughts are behind San Diego as a whole. Because one thing I wanted to know is, yes, Portland have new talent. LAFC got new talent. Vancouver have got new talent, right? New signings coming in. Of these 3 teams, I can't help but and then finally you have Seattle, who have done almost nothing in this window. And I think
they always do nothing in this window.
Of all of these teams, I think Seattle are the most vulnerable to just crash out at this point. Not through any, weird means or anything, but they rotated this week because I think they're going to. Are they playing in Leagues Cup as well?
Kansas City. They got Kansas City next.
No, and that's in Seattle.
Ooh,
but why? Seattle are in Leagues Cup. Seattle in Leagues Cup. That's what I mean, though.
Yeah, they also do have Leagues Cup.
And here's the thing, like, love Danny Musovski. Love how he's popped off. After him, it's Ozazi De Rosario, who did not have the best game. Their depth is, like, going to get to a point where it gets tested, right? They lost Albert Rusnak. They, again, without Jordan Morris, who has just never really found minutes here. And then beyond that, I think generally of all the teams right now in this middle echelon, I think Seattle end up at 6th. I can't see how they don't have a crash at the end of the season. So for me, that puts LAFC, Vancouver, and Portland ahead of those guys. Colorado could be a toss-up better than Seattle at that point, but I think they have. Well, no, they don't even have any more games against Seattle to prove it. So at least I don't think. But I wanted to ask you guys, between LAFC, Vancouver, Portland, who are you guys most sold on? And is the Seattle hate valid? I would turn it over to Jeremy, but he would say yes. Daniel, how are you feeling about Seattle and in general, like just this kind of? I mean, everyone else has been making these moves. Am I just drawn to these moves like Son, Rojas, and Valde, and then on Vancouver you have Thomas Muller, who should have had a goal, but it was called back on some bullshit, man. I'm so upset about that. But Daniel, what do you make of Seattle here?
I think Seattle's going to lose their home bid, mainly for the reason that I think LAFC got better this window, and LAFC has 2 games in hand, and I think that plays to them quite a bit. And then what we'll end up seeing is, if that is just a flip-flop or if Portland somehow matches it, but what we'll end up getting is a Seattle at LAFC first round of the playoffs, which theoretically in my head spells first round exit for Seattle. So I understand where you're coming from with that. And that's assuming Portland does not then also surpass Seattle at the same time. But they also have this aura about them come playoff time, where they're always, as long as they're in the picture, they're always going to be competitive. They might not, yeah. So that's what makes them scary. You know what I mean? Because they're historically just a team that's always there. So it doesn't matter if I think, hey, if they fall to 5th and they flip-flop spots with LAFC and then they got LAFC away, I don't know if they're actually going to fall to 5th. The logical part of my brain says yes, because LAFC got better and they have 2 games in hand. But Seattle always lucks themselves into favorable positions in the playoffs. Always.
Thank you.
And I don't know if that's going to be because Vancouver is going to be the one that ultimately falls, which theoretically they got better, although I don't think Thomas Muller helps them more than Pedro Vide did. So
maybe the return of Ryan Gauld does, though.
I mean,
if that ever happens.
If it ever happens, yeah. I mean, but we've been saying that about Vancouver all year. They're Ryan Gauld away from being nasty. So we don't know when that's actually going to happen. I think it's so tough. I would say yes, the Seattle hate is valid, and I can see the logic behind it, but my heart says it's not valid because they always luck themselves into favorable playoff positions. And playing LAFC away first round is not a favorable playoff position. Therefore, I cannot see them in that position. But I can. Oh my God, this is a that's a hard question, Juanners. Fuck.
Josh, what about you? Because here's Seattle's last 5. They go to Miami, they go to Austin, then they host Vancouver, then they host the Timbers, and then they go to. So that's already 2 flights across the country before they have some Cascadia matches there. But I can't help but feel like we're gonna see Seattle really exposed here. Josh, what do you make of these teams, and then what do you make of LAFC, Vancouver, and Portland? Just to kind of talk about those ones and wrap those up.
Well, I agree with you, Juan, that stretch of games for Seattle is going to be the make or break for where they end up. I don't think that they crash all the way out of the playoffs for sure.
Oh,
but
no, I don't think they crash out either. Sorry, I should clarify.
No. With that being said, this is, all the talk before the season started was about Seattle and their depth, and I'm hearing Jeremy roll his eyes through the microphone.
I agree with that. I fully agree with all the depth conversations.
This is where the so-called depth is. This is where they see it. This is where we're supposed to see it. Is it all of this investment? This is why you do it. You do it for this stretch of games when you're competing in Leagues Cup and when you're coming on the business end of the season. This is when that depth is supposed to come through. So I think it remains to be seen, kind of, if they can make it work. They just lost. I mean, it was a rotated side, but they did lose in Minnesota. Granted, it was kind of unlucky. It was kind of a Stephen Fry error. But if that's sort of if that's an indicator of anything, then I'm not liking their chances really. If their rotated side is dropping games like this, where they should be getting a draw at least. I think that they are more than capable of going to Minnesota and leaving with a draw, and they really should have. I think that remains to be seen if their depth is good enough to keep them that high. It all comes down to their investment. So I am thinking that they'll be right around the fourth. I think they'll be right around fourth is my prediction. I think that's where they end up.
My entire Seattle thought for the rest of the season revolves around Leagues Cup for them. How far do they go in this tournament, and how much more is that depth stretched? Because although they probably could have fucked off Leagues Cup, if we're being honest, because they played Club World Cup, but then they beat Cruz Azul 7-0 in the first game, scoring all 7 of those goals in the second half. They can't keep getting away with it, blah, 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 blah. But now that they're in the best possible position to see through Leagues Cup, and they have Puebla this week on Wednesday, Brian Schmetzer always says, it's a tournament, we're always going to want to go for it. So, they're going to want to go for Leagues Cup, especially because they do have a relatively, they have a pathway there. And at the very least, because it gets them CCL again. And, when they go into CCL, oh my God. This is where the depth really gets tested. I don't know how much it impacts their league form. The biggest impact of their league form is going to be how much, first of all, when Rusnak gets back. Because he's got to come back. I'm not taking a ton of stock in a Jesus Ferreira performance playing as a number 10 against the fucking Galaxy. I'm just not going to do that. Because I feel like that's disingenuous. Because the Galaxy aren't good. So they will play the Galaxy again on September 13th. But I'm most intrigued for that decision day game at NYCFC, because the exact opposite of NYCFC is the Seattle Sounders, who play on a giant pitch, an absolutely massive pitch. How are they going to function in the tiny confines of Yankee Stadium on decision day in mid-October? That's going to be fascinating to me. But it's all about the Leagues Cup for them, because we're gonna take this one seriously. How far is that gonna go if they potentially suffer another injury? And I hate to say it, but there are rumors of De La Vega dealing with some not good. Not good for the oft injured Argentine, particularly in the type of form that he had for 3 games, so everyone went. So, yeah.
Real quick, final Seattle point. Joss, did you go to the SKC versus Seattle Sounders game?
Oh my God! Wait, I'm trying to remember. I don't think I did.
No. Okay. Well, I was gonna ask you how Jesus Ferreira's live.
Yeah.
That game was the last time he scored in league play, and so if Joss is having a hard time remembering, he scored last on July 13th on the road against SKC.
Yeah, July 12th. I was not at that game. Where was I? I was doing something else. I was at the current game. That's where I was. I was watching good soccer in Kansas City.
Yeah, you have a good head on your shoulder. He did score in that Leagues Cup match, but again, Ferreira is not the answer there, and hasn't been for Seattle. So I'm ready for the shoe to drop on his form being evident. But Vancouver and LAFC, final 2 teams here. I think we're all just kind of waiting for LAFC to play out their games. Kind of seems like they have plenty of time to ramp up Heung-Min Son into a crazy amount of games here, into some crazy form. Next match against they're on the road against Dallas. If they're gonna go in there, I think it's gonna be time for Son to get some of his first goal. He got an assist to Matthew Juanners, who, again, I think last week I said I love him in the league, just hate him on LAFC. He ended up scoring, so egg on my face there. But Vancouver got some Thomas Muller minutes, scored on his first strike of the game, his first touch, only for it to be called back. And then it kind of when Daniel Rios came in, he killed the vibe. That's all I will say. I am more and more convinced Daniel Rios is the most fraudulent striker in MLS ever. Worse than Van Zier, I will say. But and that's ultimately why I think if there was a player that God, what's his name? Sorensen? Right? Is that his name? Coach?
Yeah.
I blank on his
The
name.
coach, yeah.
Yes.
If there's ever a player he can't get any juice out of, it's Daniel Rios. But I'll open it up to you, fellas. LAFC, Vancouver. Final thoughts on the West before we talk about the Shield race. What are you guys feeling?
I think Thomas Muller is going to be like I think he's actually going to do really well over here. I think he's not a strike. He's not a signing that like personally excited me very much. But I think he's the kind of player that I think Vancouver could get 2 to 3 years out of him because his game is not it's not all reliant on his athleticism. It's more so about like his intelligence, and therefore his body won't be going through so much that he's hurting, he's missing games, he's getting injured. So I think it's a really shrewd pickup, and one that for me, even though I wasn't excited about it originally, like watching him against Houston this past week, I just think he's going to do really well, and I'm excited for him. So really, really smart signing for Vancouver.
You guys see that piss missile he hit this week? That
Dude, the piss
got
missile,
disavowed.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, he caught that so clean.
Yeah.
I mean, LAFC's rumored to sign a striker in the next 3 days. If that happens, they're going to be incredibly dangerous. Just because of how. No, they're
I
put
feel like
Son
Son's
on the
their
wing. No, I heard
striker.
they've rumored to sign
No.
someone from was it Fluminense? I read they're looking to sign someone from the Brasileiro. But
Huh.
yeah, I mean they're just loading up attacking offense. I think their biggest issue right now is midfield, and they just refuse to address it. But it's gonna be one of those things where there looks like they're playing to outscore everybody, and that's kind of how they've played for the last couple of years now. So it doesn't really shock me that it's what they're going with.
Their biggest need is still center back, and like I know they've brought in Ryan Porteous, but he's gonna get 2 red cards before this. I know how he plays at Watford. He is going to be very clumsy in the black and gold uniform.
That's what you think.
That is what I think.
If I had to sell one and buy one, I'd sell Vancouver by LAFC.
Really? Well, I guess the 2 games in hand helps, right? But I think
Look, man, I
with LA
watch all the content creator videos, and they're saying buy Sun stock. I'm just telling you what I'm reading and listening to.
I think of the thing with because now would have been a great time for that. Who was their center back before they sold him on? No. Tafari, like him stepping up, like he needs to step up big if this team and it's going to be tough to fill in Aaron Long's shoes, but if Tafari can, because it wasn't too long ago Tafari felt like one of the most like confident, composed center backs on Dallas. Like it felt like he was very like much the guy there, and for as much as Dallas may have missed him, he doesn't seem to have had that same effect on LAFC. Maybe the lights are brighter there. What are y'all feeling on Tafari so far? It just feels like this has not been the season that we're kind of hoping for. from him.
I think he has a revenge game this weekend. I'll say that.
Put him on the goal scorer bets right now.
Put him on the goal score. The goal scorer bets are hot.
Yeah,
They're really hot.
Jeremy called Kevin Kelsey.
Do. Think Verstappen. It's the Verstappen chant.
Oh, okay.
It's the Andy Carroll chant.
I still don't know.
Andy Carroll. Do.
What is
Okay.
going on?
Kevin Kelsey.
What the hell?
Fellas, let's wrap this up though, because I mean, well, any Vancouver takes, fellas? Because I'm not ready to sell in Vancouver. I got to see some games with Thomas Muller, and man, we were robbed of a. So here's the thing. I have a story on this one, and then we can move on. But I noticed that my book that I use, sports book, is called Bet365. They have this feature called Sub On Play On, where if your guy gets subbed off, whoever subs on is now the bet that you have. So I see that Vancouver sub off Van Badwell for Thomas Muller, and I run to the book and I said, I'm putting $10 on Van Badwell right here to score, knowing that the odds would change once Muller entered the field. And so sure enough, I had a cash out option bigger than mine because they realized, oh shit, it's Muller now who's on, and he's more likely to score than Van Badwell. Guys, that goal went in, and I was like, I yelled, I'm a magician, because I was going crazy, only for it to go. Oh man, that was my biggest like sad bet, on top of getting Mikkel Dessler anytime assist. So it was like, I'm all right. We're good for it. But
That's a crazy feature though for a betting app. That's wild. I might have to check that out.
I wish I would do that bet every single time. I just wish, I think back to the Luciano Acosta and Wayne Rooney goal, that crazy winner, where Lucho was definitely off, but they like said, fuck it. The cool ass goal, let it play.
Jump for that. That's the craziest part about it. It has nothing to do with Rooney. It's Luciano Acosta winning a header.
Yeah. And he was off. That's the only one.
And in the most Luciano Acosta thing of all time, no one celebrated with Wayne Rooney. It's electric.
All right.
I have one more Vancouver take.
Yes, please.
And I just came up with this a chant for Thomas Muller that I think that they're going to really like. Do you guys want to hear it? Thomas Muller.
Yeah, I knew that was coming, damn it.
Hey,
let me know, Vancouver. That one's
Everyone
free.
Steals chance
that one's free.
Yeah.
True. But that one's free. Next one's on me. Or next one's on you. You'll pay me for that. But that one, out of the kindness of my heart, Vancouver fans, you can have that chant for free.
Fellas, it is time to talk about the Supporter Shield, because it is a strong 3-man race. I'm surprised San Diego are still here. I would have figured they'd fallen off by now, but according to the Supporter Shield, they are in pole position. They are leading by goal differential. They have 11 goal differential on Cincinnati. So it pays to not leave all your games by 1 point, Cincinnati. But fellas of Philly, Cincy, San Diego, how are we feeling about these teams? I have a lot of San Diego thoughts, but I'll kind of open it up to y'all. Any Cincinnati, Philly, San Diego thoughts of your own? I'll go to Josh here. What are you thinking here, Josh?
Yes, come to me. So
Pause.
I have. Oh, my bad. Keep editor one. Keep that in. I have a lot of San Diego thoughts, so I wanted to start there. It is unbelievable how good Anders Dreyer is, right? I mean, maybe for everybody who's not named Juanners, Juanners seem to have been ahead of the curve on Anders Dreyer, but he is just something different, and I'm really, really glad that he's still performing this late on into the season. because it just gives us a good MVP race. Is Messi going to come and win his second MVP in a row, just by virtue of him being the greatest player of all time, or is some relatively unknown Dane going to come to a team that didn't exist a year ago and show up and show out? I think that that's one of the greatest stories in the season so far. So that's really fun. And I think San Diego are still really, really fun. I am curious as to, I still have this like lingering doubt about how they fare in the playoffs, just because there's not a lot of playoff experience among this team. And especially leading up to the playoffs, does this team who's been riding the hype, kind of been riding the wave of momentum, do they taper off? I could honestly see it happening. I could see them starting to taper off as they get closer and closer to playoff time, especially as they start confirming, okay, we're finishing first in the West. Okay, we're gonna finish this place in the Shield standings. Maybe they win the Shield altogether, and we all know how that goes for teams that win the Shield. They usually don't win in the playoffs. So I'm still very, very hesitant about them when it comes to actually like the business end of proceedings. But in the most recent game against San Jose, where they were down 1-0 with like 10 minutes to go, and then out of nowhere they came back and they scored 2 goals in the last 10 minutes to snatch a lead and a win. That's amazing. That's fun. San Diego has been fun, and for the most part, it's been for all intents and purposes, it's been a very successful season for them. But I'm curious what you guys think about like their lack of playoff experience, especially. Do you guys think it matters still even?
It's going to matter, considering this team is built entirely, aside from like the obviously Sverkov, Dreyer, Lozano. I mean, you could put Anibal Godoy in there, some playoff experience, but so much of this team is reliant on just like big youths. They're remaking the youth national. Over here, you got David Vasquez, who started this game. You got Manu Dua, who isn't like a youth national, like still a first round super draft pick, who's been getting game after game at center back. But and then also like Luca Bombino's starting every single game, and he's fantastic. So I think it's the combination of youth and how much they're going to have to rely on that youth is what's going to like spell, I guess, like joy or disaster come playoff time. Because, I mean, Franco Negri comes in off the bench on this one, gets in the. You're going to need a player like that in the playoffs. You're going to need De La Torre to be starting a lot of games. But, like, does he replace Valakari at this point? Does he even replace Godoy, who's probably the most important non-Sverskov midfielder on this team? I don't know, man. But the other good part about this is Ingvartsen gets his goal. He needed a goal.
He's back.
And he got one.
More importantly, he's back.
He's back. He's very back. Yeah, this San Diego team is just still so good, but also like you're gonna need him to score a lot of goals in this run-in, Ingvartsen, because Thomas Angel is not it, and we say it every week. He's not that guy. He still starts. I don't know, man.
Daniel, do you have any thoughts here on San Diego or on Cincy and Philly? 'Cause I can go on San Diego, but please.
If we're picking Shield winners, I'm probably going to take San Diego. Not because I think they're a better team than Cincy or Philly, but I think they have an easier path to get there. So if I had to pick a Shield winner today, it would be San Diego. But what they do in the playoffs, just to bounce off what Josh said, it's gonna be like a whole new world for them. A lot of those guys are used to, season-long table races and not necessarily a big cup tournament to end their season where it's do or die. So, yeah, I mean that's my take on it. I think San Diego is my favorite.
I want to get into this because over the course of the last 2 games, I think San Diego have played some of their worst footy, and I don't know if it's just the matchups. I don't know if it's just kind of that little dog going against the big dog underdog syndrome of David and Goliath type stuff. But if you look back on this one, I thought San Diego were, they hung in around for a lot, but San Jose should have done absolutely better to punish them in a lot of these mistakes. Like, it felt as though San Jose, like, also got caught off guard by how bad San Diego were in this game. So much so that towards the end, they escaped with all three. And that kind of took me by surprise, just because in the lead up to the entire game, I was like, man, San Diego are looking like pretenders right now. Like it, and if only, I mean, I could have counted so many times I saw Chicho Arango like just fucking whiff on a chance, or San Jose like do like a pass too long or a pass too short. Like, San Jose shot themselves in the foot way more here by not capitalizing on San Diego's mistakes. And I think, Josh, even you last week had said that, SKC had a good game, despite the 2-0 loss, and so I can see cracks starting to form, but then, we go back to that depth of like, okay, well, if that was such a bad game, it's not like they had Luca De La Torre starting. And beyond that, they've had Aiden Harangi, who's filling in ahead of Oscar Verhoeven, who's filling in ahead of Willie Camado, who first filled in ahead of Jasper Loffelson. So there doesn't seem to be a drop-off. I mean, Jasper Loffelson's not even with the team no more, right? So there never seems to be that drop-off in quality. But this game was kind of like the first, like if we're talking like the Leonardo DiCaprio sits up out of his feet, out of his chair. He's like, oh, right there. Like that was this match against San Jose. A lot of that could also be said about Cincinnati, who love keeping games at 1 goal or less, as they did. They allowed kind of Portland to get back in before really settling out. Philadelphia, I think it's an interesting one because they also have Open Cup to worry about and heavily rotated. I mean, the fact that Philly heavily rotated, took a loss on the chin against the Red Bulls, and are through the Open Cup finals and still in a very strong position to compete for the Supporters Shield says a lot about how fast Philly have gotten here, right? It's that whole like race mentality of the energy style energy style of ball. How are we feeling about Philly? And how are we feeling about Cincinnati? I'll open it up to y'all. Who wins the East between these two?
It's FC Cincinnati.
Daniel?
I'm taking Philly because I think Cincinnati's going to implode eventually.
Joss?
I'm going to take Columbus. No, I'm going to take Cincinnati also.
It's worth noting that I am very confident in my Cincinnati prediction because they have 5 of their final 7 at home. That includes Philly in 2 weeks, Nashville, Orlando. They have all 3 of those games at home. There are only 2 road games. One's across country to face the Galaxy, and the other one is against the fucking Red Bulls. So, yeah, and they closed the season on decision day, where Philly's schedule, they have Open Cup to contend with, and they have to go to Charlotte, and they have 4 of their final 7 league games on the road. And that includes a trip to Cincinnati and a trip to Vancouver. So, just based on schedule alone, this is still Cincinnati's to lose. And I also think Cincinnati gets the Shield done as well. Because, I predict them at the start of the season. They're going to win the Shield. What?
Yeah, they are level. Because I do think San Diego implode. And that's why I was kind of waiting on a lot of the Portland talk, because I know Portland are sure to face San Diego, but I can't help but feel that that's a San Diego trap game. Both of those. Because they haven't played yet. Because they're both meeting at such a random time with San Diego relying on more of their depth and Portland like figuring out their newly found depth, right? So, man, it does look like Cincinnati. This is Cincinnati's to lose this point. But one thing about Philly, I do want to add is they do have some gimmies in there. They do have DC United and New England Revolution.
Gimmies.
Well,
No,
yeah, I think in the league.
no, I know they are gimmies. I'm just laughing because I'm like, oh, like I'm just sad about New England.
Well, we'll see. They could play spoiler, right? I think it just matters. These any team below them just have to muster up the will to play spoiler here. Maybe
Yeah,
New England
Leo
does.
Campana has to find out where the goal is.
There you go. But any final thoughts on these guys? Any Cincy thoughts? I know we've not really talked much to them, but Josh, Daniel.
No. I think Philadelphia is my favorite to win the East, and I'm standing by that.
It would be really, really funny for Bradley Carnell to win the East with Philadelphia, then get sacked next season.
And lose the first round of the playoffs too.
Lose first round
And
of
lose to
Chicago. Lose to Chicago. Oh my god.
Oh my god, it's gonna happen, guys.
I'm so here for that. Oh my god. So, fellas, let's wrap this one up. Daniel, where can they find you?
You can find me on X, the Everything app, at Vox Pro MLS. You'll see me on there as Major League Show.
Jeremy.
It is my turn. You can find me on the Elon app at Sports Guy Jeremy. You can find me on Bluesky, jeremypeterman.bsky.social. You can read my work at cascadia-fc.ghost.io, where we just hired a new women's soccer writer to cover the Portland Thorns. Very excited about that. And a photographer as well. Good times for the website.
Hell yeah. Love that. Joss, where can they find you?
You can find me at Josh Bathtub on the Elon app, as well as at Off to See the Wizards on the Elon app and on Instagram and TikTok. This week, I am off to see the Wizards in Seattle, taking a little detour in Jeremy's neck of the woods. So if you hear about two guys at a bar in Portland naming off obscure MLS DPs, you'll know who that was.
Hey, I need SKC to pop off here and remind everyone who the fuck they are. You know?
That's right.
We had the eulogy.
God, I don't know.
But you never you never.
God. I mean, we got a whole theme going on. You'll see it, Juan, but it's not based around SKC doing well in Seattle. I'll just say that.
Did a WWE theme off of the iconic choke slam?
Fuck, that would have been a good idea. No, unfortunately.
I'm here for that piece of MLS lore, but for more MLS lore, follow the rest of Outside the Box by going to boxstatefooty.com. Going there is a direct kind of link hub to Substack, to the Apple Podcast link, to Spotify, to YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. All of the socials are on boxstatefooty.com. You can find me at Juanners.social, really where I post all my takes now. But this week I kind of wrote them down and felt I'll just bring them onto the pod. So thanks again for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week. Maybe a bit of a transfer wrap-up, quick transfer wrap-up as the window does close in 3 days. Hopefully your team does all the business you wanted them to make. Sorry if you're a DC fan. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.